My straight roommate came home heartbroken. Then he asked me to stay with him. Hello everyone, and welcome back. If you enjoy emotional gay love stories with romance, powerful twists, and unforgettable endings, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. And before we begin, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. We love seeing viewers from all over the world. Thank you for being here. Now let's dive into today's story. Mason, can you stay with me tonight? Adrian Bennett stood in my doorway at 1:17 in the morning, looking like someone had taken the most confident man I knew, shaken him until all the certainty fell out, and sent him home in the rain. Water darkened his blonde-brown hair and clung to the shoulders of his gray sweatshirt. His blue eyes were red around the edges. One hand rested against the doorframe, not dramatically, not like he was about to collapse, just like he needed something solid beneath his fingers. Unfortunately, I was having trouble locating anything solid inside my own brain. Stay with you, I repeated, because apparently I had become a malfunctioning parrot. Adrian swallowed. Yeah. Outside, rain tapped against our apartment windows. The refrigerator hummed down the hall. Somewhere upstairs, somebody dropped something heavy and muttered a word I was pretty sure violated their lease agreement. Normal sounds. Normal night. Completely normal situation. Except my straight roommate was standing outside my bedroom asking me not to leave him alone. This was a terrible idea, because Adrian Bennett was straight, girlfriend for 3 years straight, and I, Mason Miller, had been quietly, hopelessly in love with him for 11 months and 2 weeks. What happened? I asked. Adrian looked down. That scared me more than the red eyes did. Adrian never looked down. He walked into rooms like the rooms had been waiting for him. He could talk to strangers in grocery store lines and somehow leave knowing their names, their dogs' names, and where they planned to spend Thanksgiving. But now his fingers tightened around the doorframe. Madison ended it. 3 words. My heart did something complicated and immediately inappropriate. A tiny spark of hope appearing before shame stomped it flat. His relationship ending was not good news. He was hurting. I cared about him. End of sentence. Adrian, I said softly. His eyes finally lifted to mine, and there was something in them I had never seen before. Confusion. She said something before she left. I waited. Adrian gave a quiet laugh with no humor in it. She said I was never really in love with her. The rain seemed louder. That's a pretty brutal thing to hear after 3 years. Yeah. He rubbed a hand over his face. But that wasn't the worst part. My stomach tightened. What was? Adrian looked directly at me. The worst part was that I couldn't tell her she was wrong. And suddenly I understood something terrifying. Adrian hadn't come home because he needed his roommate. He had come looking specifically for me. For 11 months, I had survived living with Adrian by following one simple rule: never mistake kindness for possibility. It meant reminding myself that Adrian remembering my coffee order did not mean anything. Adrian saving me the corner piece of lasagna did not mean anything. Adrian texting at 6 to ask when I was coming home definitely did not mean anything. Friends did those things. Roommates did those things. When Adrian first moved into the apartment almost 2 years ago, I thought we would coexist politely. Split rent. Share refrigerator space. Argue about whose turn it was to buy paper towels. Instead, somewhere between late-night grocery runs and Sunday morning coffee, Adrian became part of the rhythm of my life. He knew I hated pickles. I knew he always forgot to charge his phone. He knew I needed 20 quiet minutes after work before becoming socially functional. I knew he called his mother every Wednesday because she worried if he waited until Thursday. Then there was Madison. She was smart, confident, and genuinely nice to me, which was deeply inconsiderate of her because it would have been much easier to dislike her. Adrian loved taking her to new restaurants. He remembered their anniversary. He kept a photograph of them on the bookshelf beside our television. Evidence. Whenever my imagination became ambitious, I looked at that photograph and returned myself to reality. But Adrian occasionally behaved in ways reality had trouble explaining. When I got sick last winter, he came home with soup, cold medicine, and 3 different kinds of crackers because he didn't know which ones I liked. When I went on a date with a guy named Derek, Adrian stayed awake until I came home, claiming he had been watching television even though the screen was displaying the same paused basketball game when I walked through the door. How was it? He asked too casually. Fine. Just fine. Why do you sound disappointed? I do not. He absolutely did. I noticed. Then I buried the thought where I buried all the others. But standing in my doorway now, with Madison's final words hanging between us, Adrian looked at me differently. Or maybe I was finally too tired to keep pretending he didn't. Madison asked me a question before she left, he said. I waited. She asked why I always came home early when you were here. I blinked. What? She asked why I checked my phone whenever you texted. Why I remembered everything you told me, but somehow forgot things she had said 2 days earlier. His voice grew quieter. She asked why I got weird every time you went on a date. Every carefully buried memory in my head suddenly requested reconsideration. No, I said carefully. You care about your friends. That's normal. That's what I told her. Good. Reasonable argument. She didn't think so. What did she say? Adrian was silent long enough that the refrigerator clicked off down the hall. She said that whenever something good happened, I told you first. Whenever something went wrong, I wanted to come home to you. His eyes met mine. Then she asked me who I would call if everything fell apart. My throat tightened, and Adrian gave a small, helpless shrug. I didn't answer. He didn't need to. He was standing here, at 1:17 in the morning, soaked from the rain, heartbroken and confused, standing in my bedroom instead of calling someone else. Adrian, you just ended a 3-year relationship. Whatever you're feeling tonight doesn't need a label. His shoulders loosened slightly. I know. You don't have to solve anything right now. I know that too. Then maybe you should get some sleep. He nodded, but didn't move. You really don't want to be alone. Adrian shook his head. There was no charm in his expression now. No easy smile. Just Adrian. Tired. Hurt. Human. Okay, I said. I'll stay until you fall asleep. His relief was immediate. We crossed the hall to his room. Adrian sat on the edge of his bed while I took the desk chair, maintaining what I considered a responsible emotional distance. He looked at me, then at the empty space beside him. Mason. Yes. You're sitting like my therapist. My rates are extremely reasonable. For the first time that night, Adrian smiled. Then he patted the mattress beside him. Please. Every sensible instinct I possessed packed a suitcase and left. I sat beside him. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Adrian leaned sideways until his head rested gently against my shoulder, and my entire body forgot how to behave normally. I stayed perfectly still. His breathing gradually slowed. Then his fingers curled lightly into the sleeve of my sweatshirt. Don't leave me too, he whispered, already half asleep. I stared into the darkness. For almost a year, I had told myself hope was the dangerous thing. That night, I realized losing him might be worse. I woke at 6:43 with a stiff neck and Adrian Bennett still holding my sweatshirt like I might disappear if he let go. Memory returned all at once. Madison. The rain. Adrian asking me to stay. Don't leave me too. Wonderful. Exactly the kind of sentence you wanted to hear from the man you had secretly loved for almost a year. Especially when that man had become single approximately 5 minutes earlier. I carefully slipped free and escaped to the kitchen before my feelings could declare themselves an emergency. Coffee was safe. Coffee had rules. 20 minutes later, Adrian appeared in the doorway with messy hair and an old college sweatshirt. Morning, he said. Morning. I waited for embarrassment. An explanation. Anything. Adrian opened the refrigerator. We're out of eggs. I stared at his back. That's your opening statement. He glanced over his shoulder. What? Apparently, we were doing normal. Fine. I could do normal. So I created distance. Saturday at a coffee shop with my laptop. Sunday grocery shopping alone. Monday late at work. Adrian noticed by Tuesday. You've been busy, he said when I came home around 7. He was sitting on the couch with 2 takeout containers on the coffee table. My usual order from the Thai place sat unopened on my side. Work. You hate staying late. People change. In 4 days. I put my keys down. Apparently I'm growing. Mason. There it was. That quiet, careful tone. Are you avoiding me? No, you're terrible at lying. I'm excellent at lying. You're just annoyingly observant. His mouth almost smiled, but his eyes stayed serious. Did I make things weird? My chest tightened. You were upset, I said. You needed somebody. Adrian leaned forward. I needed you. For words. Softly spoken. Completely devastating. I forced a laugh. That's what roommates are for. Adrian didn't laugh. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he sat back. Right, he said. Roommates. And somehow, the words sounded like a disappointment. By Friday, I had convinced myself distance was working. Then Noah texted me. Noah was a graphic designer I had met at a coffee shop 2 weeks earlier. Funny, easy to talk to, emotionally uncomplicated. When he asked whether I wanted dinner Friday night, I said yes. At 7:15, I walked into the living room wearing a navy button-down. Adrian looked up from the couch, then kept looking. What? Nothing. You've been staring at me for 6 seconds. You counted. I panicked mathematically. His eyes moved to my jacket. You're going somewhere. Dinner. With who? Too fast. Too interested. Noah. His expression changed by half an inch. Coffee shop Noah? You remember him? You mentioned him. Once. Adrian shrugged. I remember things. Yes. That was becoming increasingly inconvenient. He seems annoying, Adrian said. You've never met him. You said he corrects people about fonts. He's a graphic designer. That doesn't make it less annoying. I laughed. Are you reviewing my dates? Now, I'm expressing an opinion. Based on typography? Typography matters. I reached for my keys. Good night, Adrian. Mason. I stopped. Are you going out with him because you actually like him? I looked back. Why do you care? The question landed between us. Adrian opened his mouth, closed it, looked away. I don't. Then, quieter, I just don't like him. My heart performed an embarrassing little leap. I ignored it. Dinner with Noah was perfectly nice. That was the problem. He was charming. He made me laugh. He did absolutely nothing wrong. And halfway through dessert, I caught myself checking my phone because Adrian hadn't texted. Noah noticed. You've checked that thing 4 times. I put my phone face down. Sorry. Work? No, family. No, his eyebrows lifted. Roommate. I stared at him. Noah laughed. That obvious? Apparently. He took a sip of water. You talk about him a lot. I've mentioned him twice. You mentioned him twice tonight. That shut me up. Noah's smile softened. Is there something going on there? No, the answer came too quickly. Then I sighed. I don't know. That sounds more accurate. I'm sorry. Don't be. I asked you to dinner, not to sign a contract. I laughed. Then Noah became more serious. For what it's worth, I like you, Mason. My stomach tightened. He wasn't joking. I'd like to see you again, he continued. But only if you're actually available. There it was. A perfectly reasonable request from a perfectly reasonable man. And somehow it felt much harder to answer than it should have. When I returned home around 10:30, the apartment was dark except for the lamp beside the couch. Adrian was asleep beneath a blanket. On the coffee table sat a second mug beside his own. My favorite tea. Cold now. Adrian opened his eyes. You're home, he murmured. Relief crossed his face before he could hide it. You waited up? He glanced at the tea. Apparently, I have a bad habit of doing that. I should have gone straight to bed. Instead, I stood beside the couch staring at a cold mug like it contained the answer to every bad decision I had made since meeting Adrian. You know, waiting up after my date isn't helping your argument. Adrian sat upright. What argument? The one where you supposedly don't care who I date. I never said I didn't care. You literally said that 3 hours ago. I was under pressure. I was putting on a jacket, Adrian. This wasn't a congressional hearing. A reluctant smile appeared. How was dinner? Nice. His expression tightened. Nice. Very nice. That sounds serious. It was pasta. I meant Noah. I sat in the armchair across from him. Noah is nice. Funny. Normal. He knows an alarming amount about fonts, but apparently I can live with that. Are you seeing him again? I thought about Noah looking across the table and telling me he liked me. Maybe. Adrian nodded once. Okay. He was absolutely not okay. My phone buzzed. Noah. Had a good time tonight. I meant what I said. I'd like to see you again. Adrian glanced at the screen before looking away. His jaw tightened. I'm going to bed. He stood, took 2 steps, then stopped. Actually, no. That was a short bedtime. He turned around. I need to ask you something. That sentence hasn't gone well for me recently. Have you ever wanted someone you weren't supposed to want? Every joke vanished from my mouth. That's oddly specific. Just answer. Of course. What did you do? Fell in love with my straight roommate and developed an unhealthy appreciation for emotional repression. Nothing. Did it stop? I looked at him. No, Adrian absorbed the word. Then he sat on the edge of the coffee table, closer now. I keep thinking about what Madison said. About me coming home to you. About getting irritated when you date somebody. What exactly are you trying to tell me? He looked at me. I don't know yet. My heart sank even as he continued. But I know this. When you visited your parents for Christmas, The apartment felt wrong without you. When you got sick, I couldn't focus at work until I knew you were okay. When Derek took you out, I spent half the night hoping you'd come home early. And tonight, his eyes dropped toward the cold tea. Tonight was worse. Why? Adrian held my gaze. Because you walked out that door with Noah, and for the first time I had to. Think about what happens if one day you walk out with somebody and stop coming home to me. Silence. I don't know what that means yet, Mason. His voice dropped almost to a whisper. I only know that the thought of losing you scares me. There are sentences you wait almost a year to hear, only to discover hearing them is more terrifying than imagining them. You're scared of losing me, I said. Yes. That doesn't automatically mean you want to be with me. I know. Do you? I stood. You waited for me tonight. You hated that I went out with Noah. You told me you needed me. And you need to understand those things aren't harmless to me. Adrian went still. What do you mean? I laughed quietly. You really do make me say everything the difficult way. Say what? I finally looked at him. You matter to me, Adrian. More than you're supposed to. Silence. His eyes widened. So I can't be the person you hold on to while you figure out whether you miss Madison, whether you're lonely, or whether this is something else. I can't be your experiment. You're not. You don't know that yet. I know you're not some experiment. Then what am I? Adrian opened his mouth. Nothing came out. And somehow uncertainty hurt more than rejection would have. I've always thought I was straight, he said. I nodded. Okay. Something changed in his face. Okay. Yes. I reached for my jacket. Where are you going? For a walk. Why does it feel like you're leaving me? My hand tightened around the jacket. Because I can't keep pretending you don't mean something to me. And I can't stand here waiting for you to decide whether I'm a temporary answer to a question you never expected to ask. What if I'm not asking because of Madison? Then figure out what you're asking because of. I softened my voice. I'm not angry. I just need whatever comes next to be true, not something you choose because you're afraid of being alone. Adrian moved aside. No argument. No attempt to stop me. I opened the door. Mason. I turned. For what it's worth, he said quietly. When you said I mattered to you, that was the first thing tonight that didn't confuse me. I made it 3 blocks before. Realizing dramatic nighttime walks are much less impressive when it's cold and you forgot gloves. When I returned, Adrian was sitting on the floor beside the couch, staring at the dark television. He looked up. Hey. I thought about what you said. That was fast. I had nothing else to do. You own several streaming subscriptions. Mason. Right. He stood. You were right that I don't understand everything yet. But you were wrong about one thing. Which thing? You're not temporary. My humor disappeared. I kept trying to explain everything separately. Why I remember your coffee order. Why I hate when you go on dates. Why I wait up for you. Why the apartment feels wrong when you're gone. He exhaled. Maybe they're not separate things. Adrian, you don't have to figure this out tonight. I know. Then don't rush because you think I'm leaving. I'm not. He sat beside me. I'm scared, he admitted. Not of you. Not even of what this might mean. I'm scared because I thought I knew myself. And now there's this whole part of me I apparently never asked the right questions about. Being scared is allowed. He looked at me. What if I know I want to be closer to you, but I don't know what label belongs on that yet? Then you don't need a label tonight. His shoulders relaxed. His hand lay between us on the cushion. Then his fingers moved slowly until they brushed mine. A question, not an assumption. I turned my hand over. Our fingers settled together. Nothing dramatic happened. No music appeared from nowhere. The ceiling light continued making that faint buzzing sound I'd been meaning to fix for 6 months. Yet the tiny weight of Adrian's hand against mine felt enormous. He looked down at our joined hands. Then back at me. Slowly, carefully, he leaned closer. His face stopped inches from mine. I wanted to close the distance. I had wanted it for almost a year, which was exactly why I couldn't. Adrian. He stopped immediately. What? Don't kiss me because you're confused. Something vulnerable crossed his face. What if I'm scared instead? Be scared. My voice softened. Just don't make me your mistake. Adrian stayed still, then nodded. Okay. No frustration. No pressure. He simply leaned forward until his forehead rested gently against mine. My eyes closed. His hand tightened around mine. You're not a mistake, Mason, he whispered. And somehow, the kiss he chose not to take meant more than a kiss would have. The next morning, Noah texted again. Coffee tomorrow? I stared at the message longer than necessary. Adrian was standing at the kitchen counter making toast. He didn't ask who had texted. That surprised me. A week earlier, he would have found some transparent excuse to investigate. Instead, he buttered his toast and said, "Coffee's fresh." "Thanks." I sat at the table. My phone remained beside my hand. Finally, Adrian glanced at it. "Noah." "Yes." Something flickered across his face, then disappeared. "Are you going?" "I don't know." Adrian nodded. And that was it. No jealousy. No criticism. No typography jokes. For some reason, that bothered me more. "You're not going to say anything?" Adrian looked confused. "About what?" "About Noah. You told me I needed to figure myself out without making you responsible for it." I stared at him. "So I'm trying." That was annoyingly mature. I hate when you listen to me. I've noticed. The following afternoon, I met Noah for coffee. Not because I wanted to make Adrian jealous. That would have been cruel to both of them. I went because Noah deserved an answer, and because part of me needed to know whether I was holding on to Adrian because he was finally looking in my direction, or because I genuinely couldn't imagine choosing someone else. Noah was already seated when I arrived. He pushed a coffee toward the empty chair. "You remembered. 2 creams. No sugar." I stopped. It was exactly how Adrian made it. Apparently, the universe had developed a sense of humor. We talked for almost an hour. Work. Movies. A terrible restaurant Noah wanted to try because the reviews were so bad they had become entertaining. It was easy. That scared me. Easy had value. Noah knew what he wanted. He knew he was interested in men. He knew he was interested in me. There were no 3-year relationships ending in the background. No identity crisis. No 11 months of pretending. Eventually, Noah leaned back. "I'm going to ask something unfair." "Excellent. If Adrian told you tomorrow that he had figured everything out, would I still have a chance?" I didn't answer. Noah smiled sadly. "Yeah, that's what I thought." "I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. I feel like I'm wasting your time." "You're not. You were honest." He looked out the window. "Just don't let someone keep you waiting forever because you love the version of him that might eventually choose you." That one hurt because it was good advice. When I returned home, Adrian was in the kitchen washing dishes. "How was coffee?" "Good." He nodded. I waited. Nothing. Noah asked me out again. The plate in Adrian's hands stopped moving. Only for a second. Then he rinsed it. "Okay." I hated that word. "Okay." Adrian shut off the water and turned around. "What do you want me to say?" "I don't know. That I don't want you to go?" My pulse jumped. Adrian dried his hands. "I don't." There it was. "But wanting you to stay isn't enough," he continued. "You made that very clear." I stared at him. "I need to know why I want you to stay. And I'm getting there." The answer should have comforted me. Instead, something inside me tightened. Noah already knows why he wants me. Adrian flinched. Immediately, I regretted saying it. But it was true. "That's fair," he said. "Adrian, no. It is." He looked toward the counter. "He knows what he wants. I don't get to resent him for being faster than me." His voice was controlled, but his hands had curled into fists at his sides. For the first time, his jealousy didn't make me hopeful. It made me sad, because I could see how hard he was trying not to turn his confusion into my responsibility. And that mattered more than any possessive declaration could have. For the next 4 days, Adrian gave me space. Real space. No jealous questions. No late-night confessions. No conveniently forgotten reasons to sit too close. We still shared breakfast. Still argued about whose turn it was to take out the trash. Still complained about the upstairs neighbor. But Adrian stopped reaching for answers before he understood them. That made me trust him more. On Wednesday, he met Madison at a coffee shop so they could finally talk without anger or heartbreak filling every silence. He told me afterward that he apologized for the ways he had been emotionally absent without realizing it. Madison apparently listened, took a long sip of coffee, and said, "For a smart man, you can be remarkably slow." I laughed for almost a full minute. I like her. I noticed. Maybe she can move in. Absolutely not. Then Adrian became quiet. "She asked about you." My smile disappeared. "What did you say?" "The truth." "That sounds dangerous." I told her I was trying to understand why losing her hurt, but the possibility of losing you terrified me. I didn't know what to say. Adrian looked toward the window. She told me something else. "What?" "That I needed to stop treating certainty like something that arrives before a decision." I frowned. "What does that mean?" She said, "Maybe sometimes you decide what matters first, and understanding yourself catches up afterward. That sounded exactly like Madison. And what did you think? Adrian looked at me. I think she was right. My heart started beating faster. But Adrian didn't say anything else. Not yet. Thursday afternoon, Noah called while I was at work. I have 2 tickets to that photography exhibit downtown Saturday, he said. Before you panic, this isn't an ambush. I wasn't panicking. You sound like a hostage negotiator. I smiled. Then he became serious. I'd still like you to come. I looked through the office window. Saturday. A real date. With someone who had made his intentions completely clear. Can I think about it? Of course. When I got home that evening, Adrian was sitting at the dining table with his laptop. He looked up. You okay? Yes. He knew immediately that I was lying. But he didn't push. I put my bag down. Noah asked me to go somewhere Saturday. Adrian's fingers stopped above the keyboard. Okay. There was that word again. He has tickets to an exhibit. Adrian nodded. Sounds fun. Do you want me to go? His eyes lifted sharply. That's not fair. I know. Do you want to go? I asked first. Adrian closed his laptop. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he stood. No, my heart slammed once. No, I don't want you to go. I stayed still. Adrian crossed the room, but stopped several feet away. I hate the idea of him making you laugh. I hate that he knows exactly what he wants from you. I hate that he gets to ask you out without questioning everything he thought he knew about himself. His voice shook slightly. But none of that gives me the right to ask you to wait. Adrian, so if you want to go, go. He swallowed. I'd rather lose you because you chose something real than keep you here with half an answer. That was the moment something changed. Not because Adrian was jealous. Because he was willing to risk losing me rather than claim me before he was ready. I stepped closer. Why are you making this so difficult? A small, helpless smile appeared. Apparently, it's one of my core skills. I almost reached for him. Almost. Instead, I nodded. I haven't told Noah yes. Hope flashed across Adrian's face. I pointed at him. Don't make that expression. What expression? That one. I have no idea what you're talking about. You look like you just won something. I definitely haven't. No, I looked directly at him. You haven't. His smile disappeared. He understood. The next evening, I texted Noah. I can't go Saturday. And I don't think it's fair for me to keep pretending I'm available when part of me is still waiting for an answer from someone else. His response came 2 minutes later. Then make sure he deserves the wait. That sentence stayed with me. By Friday evening, the apartment felt almost normal. Almost. I came home around 7:30 carrying groceries and found Adrian sitting at the kitchen table. No television. No phone. No breakup sadness hanging over him. He looked calm. That was somehow much more frightening. We need to talk, he said. I put the grocery bag on the counter. Those 4 words should require a permit. Adrian smiled, but his eyes remained steady. I've been thinking. Dangerous hobby. Mason. Sorry. I sat across from him. Adrian folded his hands on the table. I kept trying to figure out whether wanting you means I'm still straight. My heart stopped cooperating. Then I realized I was asking the wrong question. What's the right question? Adrian looked directly at me. Do I want you in my life as more than my roommate? The refrigerator hummed behind us. Somewhere outside, a car passed on the wet street. Yes. One word. No confusion attached to it. Do I miss you when you're gone? Yes. Do I get jealous when somebody else gets your attention? Embarrassingly, yes. Very embarrassingly. Thank you for your support. Then his expression softened. Do I know exactly what label I'll use for myself tomorrow, next month, or 5 years from now? No. He paused. But I know I want you, Mason. I stopped breathing. Not because Madison left. Not because I'm lonely. And not because Noah showed up and scared me into making a decision. That mattered. More than he knew. I want you because when my life is good, you're the person I want to tell. When it's terrible, you're the person I look for. When you're gone, I notice the empty space you leave behind. His eyes never left mine. And when I imagined Noah taking you somewhere Saturday, what scared me wasn't that he might win. I swallowed. What scared you? That you might choose him because I was too afraid to choose you. Silence. Adrian stood and walked around the table. He stopped in front of me, leaving space between us. I'm not going to ask you to trust me immediately. Good. And I'm not going to pretend I have everything figured out. Also good. His smile was small and nervous. But I know the difference now between being afraid of losing someone and actually choosing them. My throat tightened. And I choose you. 3 words. Simple. Steady. No panic behind them. No breakup. No jealousy. Just Adrian. I'd like the chance to figure out what this is with you, if you still want that. 11 months of impossible hope suddenly felt very quiet. I thought about Noah, about easy certainty, about Adrian standing in my doorway in the rain, about the cold tea, about the kiss he had chosen not to take, about the fact that when I asked Adrian not to make me his mistake, he had listened. He had stepped back. He had done the work. He had come back. I stood. Adrian didn't move closer. He waited. That mattered. So I closed the final distance myself. I kissed him softly. Nothing dramatic. Nothing rushed. Just warm, careful certainty. For half a second, Adrian didn't move, almost as if he couldn't believe this was actually happening. Then his hand rose slowly to my waist. Not pulling, just resting there, giving me every opportunity to change my mind. I didn't. When we pulled apart, Adrian looked stunned. Wow, he whispered. Very insightful. I had a better speech prepared. You used all your words at the table. He laughed. Then his forehead touched mine again, exactly as it had several nights earlier. Only this time neither of us had to stop. I've wanted to do that again since the second you walked away from me, he admitted. Kiss me. Hold your hand. I raised an eyebrow. That was surprisingly wholesome. I'm going through a lot. I laughed. Adrian reached for my hand. His fingers threaded through mine with more confidence this time. Can I ask you something? That sentence still makes me nervous. His smile softened. Stay with me. The question carried me back to 1:17 in the morning. Rain. Heartbreak. A frightened man standing in my doorway asking me not to leave him alone. That night, Adrian had reached for me because everything familiar had fallen apart. Now he stood in front of me with nothing falling apart. No Madison. No panic. No Noah standing between us. Just a choice he had been given time to make. I squeezed his hand. This time, Adrian smiled. Not just tonight. I looked at him for a long moment. Then I smiled too. Okay. One word. Apparently, sometimes one word was enough. Adrian pulled me gently toward him, and I rested my head against his shoulder. The apartment was exactly the same. The refrigerator still hummed. The faucet still needed fixing. Our upstairs neighbor still appeared to be conducting a personal war against the floor. Nothing around us had changed. And somehow everything had. For almost a year, I had survived loving Adrian by reminding myself never to mistake kindness for possibility. Maybe that rule had protected me when I needed it. But standing there, with Adrian's hand wrapped around mine, I didn't need it anymore. Because this wasn't kindness. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't jealousy. And it wasn't possibility anymore. It was a choice. And this time, we had both made it.